We can stop that at any time. Okay? It's just to go ahead and proceed with this. One of the reasons for doing that is that right now we're 90 days behind on what we had intended to do. We had hoped that with our time frame that we set forth several months ago, that by the sometime around the 1st of December, we would be breaking ground. And it's been our hopes and understanding a little bit that at that time, at our groundbreaking ceremony, we could get a little extra money from the governor's office. We've kind of been promised that. And we would hope that we could have him or someone from his office to come up and attend the groundbreaking ceremony and bring us a check. Forget that now. I don't think that's going to happen. Because he goes out of office at the end of this year, and we have a new governor coming in. We have no idea who he'd be, or if they would even, I'm afraid they won't even know where Eastern Kentucky is, and especially Magoffin County. So I'm not counting on that now because of the timelines that we've had to move forward. But that's the deal I think that we can propose to you. I know that's a lot of money, and I think if you'd have been spending the last 90 days and trying to find money, you might have already had it. You can do whatever you want to with the building, and we'll do whatever we can with what we have left. Probably what we would have to do is to do some renovation of this building and stay right here. That's not a good solution, but it may be the only one that we would look at right here. But that is our proposal. I think that's the one that this board would agree, or may not agree with that, but I think the other members of the board will agree to do that, if you're willing to buy it.
Could I say something?
Yeah.
Quick? And I don't want to make anybody mad, but I probably use this library about as much as anybody. And if I go to Lexington and I buy a used house that's not just been built, what's the first thing I do? I get a home inspector. And why wasn't this building inspected?
There's no use in even talking about that.
Why?
We understand that.
Well,
okay? We made some mistakes. We certainly made plenty of mistakes.
Well,
we can't go back and redo those.
We talked about money, and everything boils down to money. So in other words, if you tear this church down, you paid $450,000 or $60,000 for a lot. It's basically right. What you did.
That's right. Expensive lot. What did the city pay for that lot over there?
$286,000.
$286,000. And you tore down some houses after that, didn't you?
They tore down, I think, 4 houses. I wasn't in office, so I don't believe. I think it's 4 houses they took down.
That property's off tax rolls, and we'll probably, unless you can sell it back to somebody, never do. Look, folks, how much property right around here is not taxable? Start up here at the red light, at the junction of Route 7. Come this way. What have you got? You've got the rescue squad building there, pays no taxes. You've got Kathy Barnett and Kevin Arnett own property there, pay taxes on that. Across the bridge over there, Baptist Church, we don't pay taxes. Ramey Park pays no taxes. Come on down this way. The property we own there, we don't pay any taxes on it. The radio station does, I guess. The Historical Society pays no taxes.
Well, how are you going to build a new building there and a sewer line that you can't cross?
It will not, David, it will go where the present building is. Okay? If you go up and cross the bridge and you take a look down through the parking lot there, you'll see a wide strip of blacktop that was cut up and taken up when the sewer line was run through there. It's to the left of the building at an angle, runs at an angle across the property there. You know, there's just too much property. The county just recently bought a piece of property up here from Rondell Reed, I understand. I don't know, but I heard they paid $300,000 for it. Rondell, I think, had paid $125 at auction or something like that for it. I'm sure he was paying some tax, huh?
He ought to get into real estate.
Well, he was paying taxes at least on part of that amount. Now I don't know what the county plans to do with it, but that's off tax purposes, off the tax rolls now.
He filled that property too.
He filled it, yeah, he spent a lot of money in filling it, that's right.
It was flood property.
And now the new road is going to go through, round behind the restaurants up there. And the only properties that I know of that right now don't pay in taxes, if they may take part of it, will be the Catholic Church and the Health Department. Am I right in that? The rest of that property will come off tax rolls forever. How are you going to recuperate that property, that money? I know the city is trying to annex, and that'll come back with a little bit. But this.
Well, I property values, I have probably one of the top 10 in the city and county, and I'm not complaining about paying my property taxes. So I don't mind the load that you're putting on the rest of us, as long as we have the facilities that we're talking about. They're all very important facilities. That's what we got to have. I'm all for this facility you're wanting to put over here for $4 million. I'm all for that. We just want to save the church.
You have
And build you guys a good library.
Are you all willing to purchase the property?
I'm a little short.
You're not going to get any money out of it if you don't purchase it. You're going to be
Well, I think
losing what you put in it.
You can follow through with your idea there, and at least if you're definitely going to tear it down, they'll give 30 days for somebody to try to buy it.
That's the proposal I'm willing to make to the board.
But taxpayers do support the library. We will always be taxed to support
I hope
the
you do.
library.
I hope you do.
Always.
And I hope that
So
you
I
will
think
be.
that as taxpayers, then we should have an input.
You've had an opportunity for input over the years. You know, like I said, nobody ever shows up in the meeting. Pass those around just so the people can get an idea of what we propose to do. That's a proposal for our new facility. Try to make it look as much like the old church as possible. And you know, I remember that church, and I have more connections to that building than anyone sitting in this room right here today. My wife was, and I told this before, and don't need to beat the dead horse, but she was baptized there. We were married there. I was baptized there. My grandson was baptized there. On and on and on. But the church moved. We're across the river now.
But your sensitivities are different than some sensitivities of other people.
I'm
And we've
interested in the
You
library.
see 400 people that have signed names out of their sensitivity for that place, and they're people that live here, and they don't want the church to go.
Doug, I could have got 400 people to sign the
The
tear it
church
down.
is gone. The church is across the river.
The building, ma'am.
The building. Let's keep that
Yes,
clear.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
The
That's-
building
Let's call it
is
the church
there.
house. How's that? I love the word church house.
It's a structure.
Well, we had preachers show up because up there on the restaurants, those pictures say our little church. He was very once he came here, he was like, it was very, very misleading because it should be, safe, because I'm all about renovation. Anybody that knows me, I love old buildings. I love that building. I was excited thinking the library was going to go in there. But, it's very misleading how, we had a petition here once before, Bear. People didn't even know what they were signing. You was here with me when they came down with their petition.
Well,
And
I'm
then
not
they passed
going to
one.
debate the merits
Well,
with you
what
of
I'm saying,
petitions. There are
that's
so
what I'm
many.
saying, though. Those
I
names
know
don't mean
for a
anything,
fact.
because I've got more papers
And what
than
I
400.
really dread is the wrath of the people that don't know and that have been kept in the dark or for whatever reason don't know. And that's actually, I'll just be quite frank, was one of the reasons that I came out in opposition, because there are going to be a lot of mad people, and when they're going to be hurt. And the library board needs the support now more than ever. To undertake a project of this magnitude, it needs the total community behind it. And I'm afraid that's going to erode that tremendously.
And you're going to also have the wrath of the people who support the library 100% and want to see a new modern facility in this community.
Well, I want to see a
Not
modern
everybody
facility.
is.
There's
Not
no
everybody
doubt.
supports
I'm
the
100%
library.
We don't want you to have a
modern facility.
It
just
should
doesn't-
not be a fight
It
between,
needs to be on a
Right.
better lot,
Right.
a more suitable location.
but where was that coming from? Like Ronnie was saying, beating a dead horse to death. You were here when the decision was made. So you made the decision. Now, let's act on it.
When I was here, the language of the appropriations bill that Senator Stivers sponsored was for the purchase of a church for renovation into a library.
It was for the
It's a
purchase of an
shame.
existing building. It didn't even say that
Okay.
church. We could have bought any existing building as far as the language. I clarified that.
Well, evidently the Department of Local Government, there's a lot of latitude in what you can do. And you
And
know,
I talked to
And the
Senator
Department of
That's
Local
good. I'm glad
Government
they
says they
free
can use
things
the
up.
money as
And-
they see fit.
And I just want our cake and eat it too. I want a new library, and I want to be able to save this iconic historic structure that means so much to our community. And I don't see why that we can't do that.
Well, we've had 90 days. Do you have a solution?
We've
Because
had
we
we've had
asked for-
solutions for you.
But what are they? If we don't, just because you have an ideal of let's trade the property, that's the only solution. If we don't want to trade that property, or the board doesn't want to trade, what's your next one? If you want it that bad, you've got to have a backup plan. You know, they came to us with an ugly plan. We was like, no, take it back. We paid to have another one drawn up that looks like that church. Have another plan. It's clearly, I think, that the board does not want the property across from City Hall, so what's the next phase? What is your plan?
Okay.
And what I've been told is that because of how that property is in the floodplain, that we could not even get bonded to build
That may be.
that structure
All that
on
may
that
be-
piece
all
of
that
property,
may be
it's
true.
not
That's
gonna be
why-
something we can.
Yeah, that all may be true, but we would wanted you to search out, and that's your
Well,
all's
we have looked into that,
responsibility
and that
to
was
look
the
into
answer
that.
that I got.
You got from who?
From David Prater, who's gonna handle it.
Well, David Prater's he can't,
He's
he's
one
a
that-
bit biased because he's trying to sell you,
He's
sell
not.
your bonds.
That's
You can't go to him and ask him to figure
He's
if your
employed by the
engineering
board.
needs.
He's employed by the board in order to get this funding. Now, that's.
But what I was
as
gonna
David
say,
is-
if you don't like that property,
Yeah.
you know, there are, like Ronnie says, there's much property that you could have been looking at if
Can
you
I,
want to save the church.
can I ask something? Why is it with this board that property is so important to build that new library on? I'm behind on a lot of these.
Because, first of all, we own
now.
it.
I mean, that's
Okay.
our, we own
We own the
this and
property.
we own that.
And we're ready to, you know, I just foresee this facility placed up there as, that it will be a beautiful structure. It'll be something that will be useful. And, you know, we talk about all the parking and everything else like that. That's not a problem. We've got, I think we'll have 17 parking spaces there. And at one time we had, you know, if we had 120 people in church on Sunday morning, they found a place to park. Okay, so parking's not an issue. That's awful. But here will be a facility that we can use, and when people come into town, they're going to see it and they're going to think it's still the old church there. Basically, because it's going to look an awful lot like it. Now, it won't be the old church, but it'll be a new, modern, up-to-date. Hopefully we can put everything in there that we need for the best library possible for the citizens of this county. Now, and something that will be used, you know, for generations to come. You know, I'm ashamed to tell people that come down to the library and see where we are. And I read something here, and one of these comments said that they remember when they used to go to the library in the old courthouse. Library used to be in the old courthouse over here. Not the second courthouse, I guess, but the old original one there.
You could smell the urine from the jail.
So I can remember that.
The gentleman there, are you representing the county here? Are you here to represent Judge Harden in any way?
Yes, I am.
Does he have an opinion?
He wants to let the board know, most important to his, anything that has to be approved through the fiscal court be approved, but also more importantly, if there's any, I think Melanie touched on it about the federal funding. If there's any issues with federal funding, I think that's one of the.
As far as I know,
contingencies we need to look
you know, fiscal court won't have to do anything. That's not, I'm not sure about things like that. I don't know the legality of this stuff, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. That's the bottom line. We're
So is the judge's office taking a neutral stand in this? Is that what you're saying, or were they?
He's what's in the benefit of Magoffin County.
What does he think?
whatever the board decides that they think that is in the benefit. We need to be at a certain point where we're not only looking at the tax dollars that we're spending, but also the facilities that we're wanting. So, I think Ronnie touched on it earlier. We've since 2008, they've had board meetings and had no participation. And I can understand this board's frustration in trying to do something, as well as the public opinion, on what's being done. But that's what this meeting's about, is to get down the road.
Well, he obviously had faith in these board members. He approved them.
We have to look at what we think is best for the library.
And that's why
That's
that
the
I
bottom
would
line.
come to the board meetings. What the board members are appointed by the county judge. We elect the county judge. We expect them to do what we want. And when we voice our opinion, then we are considered the buttholes. So.
Well, I don't think that you're considered that, because David, he is someone that uses this library more than anyone. But I have that same feeling. That's how the library was being portrayed, as the buttholes, because it acts like this decision was made like, oh, we met one day and guess what? We're going to tear, 2 dates I have seen, and people have come and said, oh, the church is saved right before demolition. There's never been a date set for demolition. Oh, we've saved the church. I mean, you can't even get on social media. Oh, the church has been torn down tomorrow. Oh, they'll have to tear me off of it. I'm strapping myself to it. It's never been set. No date has ever been set.
And that's what we're going to do today. If you guys want to purchase the property, we will draw up some kind of agreement here that says we, the undersigned, agree to purchase the old First Baptist Church property from the Magoffin County Public Library for the sum of $460,597. We agree to pay 10% down at the next regularly scheduled meeting, which would be in September, with the balance of the 465 or 400, whatever it would be, the balance due at the October board meeting. Now, that's what we're willing to do. If anybody's willing to sign their John Henry to a statement, and I can make that in the form of a motion.
You're asking us to buy the building today. Is that what you're saying?
I'm asking you to make a commitment to buy the building.
What about that? Well,
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Yeah.
I'm impressed that you would try to
I
make a
think
red herring
if
out of
you-
something so important.
If you had
I'm
been,
really impressed.
if you had been trying for the last 60 days to raise money or to find funds to purchase it, instead of just trying to keep us from tearing it down, you probably could have had the biggest part of the money allocated by now.
Can I make one comment?
Yes.
I'm neutral in this. I really am.
Please do.
If you were forgiven the $450,000 was co-severance money, it wasn't taxpayers' money, right? The $650,000 you got for the renovation of the church was co-severance.
Well,
It's
it's
not
cold
tax
sever,
money.
you can call it whatever
Well,
you
it's
want.
not tax. It wasn't our taxpayers' money that bought the church. So if the legislature said we'll forgive that $450,000, let you keep the other $200,000 to purchase property with, would that be sufficient for you to deed the church to somebody else? I mean, it wasn't our taxpayers' money officially that bought the property, and you're in debt $450,000, but you paid for the co-severance money. So the library board's not in debt from that. They've got an extra $200,000 to purchase or do whatever they want to, tear it down or whatever. I understand that. But if it was that $450,000 was forgiven and you had $200,000 to purchase more property, would that be sufficient to the board?
I don't think it would. I think, that's...
Would that be a solution if that could be worked out? I know if it
I
was
don't
taxpayers'
think so,
money, I
because
could see where it'd be a big difference but it's not taxpayers.
We have saved up right now somewhere in the neighborhood of $1 million.
Mhm.
We've got that in the bank
Yeah,
right now.
I'm sure, yeah, because I know
And
your tax rate's probably 8%, ours is 8%. You're taking in probably $280,000 taxpayers' money every year. It's just the same as the health department and the extension office. We're all basically the same.
all tax,
We're basically the
tax
same.
and districts.
Yeah, tax and districts, and we all got the same rates. I know at one time we was all 4%, now we're all 8% because we all raised them to build buildings, and that's what you do. But the taxpayers' money is not involved with the building as of now. It's just co-severance money, which was appropriated by the county, asked for by the county, and appropriated to the health board. Just like health department got $60,000 for debt reduction on ours 2 years ago, and now we don't get nothing because cold severance money's gone.
Yeah.
But that's a different story than being taxpayers' money as being spent on it. So I was just wondering if a deal could be worked out with $450,000, that was cold severance money. You all keep the 250 that's left to buy property. Would that be all right with the board? I mean, I'm just looking at trying to find a solution. That would be
Good idea.
admirable to everybody.
I don't see where.
So basically,
we've already got the property.
I know you have.
So-
But you paid for it with cold severance money, which is really not taxpayers'
so
money.
basically, you're taking $450,000, and we're not going to have a building, and the church
You're
is
gonna
going to
take
have the co-severance money.
You're going to have $250,000 to bail, and you're going to bond to build your library. That's. I mean, it's.
But the 200,000 would have to be used to purchase property elsewhere.
That's true. That's true.
So that cuts
That's
us down to 800,000 of our own property, and that.
But you're going to bond for 30 years, just like the health department did, and it's going to be what, $3 million bond or $3.5 million, where you're going to be paying $120,000 a year, $150,000, just
And
off that
taxpayers
across my
are
head.
gonna pay for it.
Well, that's true, but now the taxpayers are paying for everything else too. So
I have
a
I
problem
don't
with
have a
that.
problem with that.
You're going to be paying that amount if we sit right here.
That's right. That's not going to change.
But that's what I'm
I'm
saying,
just,
it's taxpayers.
I'm just trying to get a viable position that they can afford. They can
that's
make the
very-
payment.
yeah, that's
That
very
they can make the
creative, yeah.
payment, and
Yeah.
they'll be able to make the payment. And I don't know what. I know the library don't take a lot of money in just as a library. You depend on taxing. That's not the health department. We depend on taxpayers' money to run. That's just a fact of life. If you don't pay taxes, you don't have a health department, you don't have a library, you don't have a lot of things. Services, you don't get the services. But if you can work out a deal where taxpayers' money was not used like the cold severance money, and the state legislature says, well, and I understand I'm not smart with that stuff, and maybe Mr. Cordell, he probably knows because he deals with that, I guess, a lot with the state legislature stuff about, money like that. I don't know. But, it's just, if you could do that and then still build your building for whatever, you're going to bond it anyway. I mean.
And you got no problem with, here's two property owners that have a lot of property that we pay a lot of taxes on. That's no problem. I mean, them borrowing that money is not a problem.
And I'm not saying, you're the board. When you make a decision, that's your decision. I'm going to go along with it because I'm on board too. That's what you're there for, to make your decision. You make the best decision possible. But if that would be an option, that's fine. If not, I'm going on with this. I've got to worry about the city. You got to worry about the library. And I know it's been a big headache.
The problem the board has is when the legislature appropriated those public funds to them, while they're not local, while local people didn't pay those funds, well, quite frankly, some local people that might have been mining coal could have paid those funds, so technically they are tax dollars. They're public monies, and the board would have, if they cannot recoup what they've got in that property, they would in a sense be throwing away close to $500,000 in public tax dollars that were appropriated to this board. So they had been charged when they were appointed by the judge to be good stewards of the taxpayers' money, and they in essence be throwing that away if somebody will not purchase that property. And I think that's why you're making the offer you're making to be a good steward of the taxpayers' money.
But if they don't, then if they tear it down, they're throwing the money away.
No, they're not.
Why aren't they?
How much is the property worth itself without the
Why
building?
aren't they?
Building's gone. Greenfield,
They
nothing there.
Got
It belongs to the
$460,000
library.
in it.
How much is it
If they
worth?
tear it down,
How much is
they
that
got none
lot
of that
worth
money.
when the structure is removed?
I'm not.
The last figure I heard was 50,000. I'm not a realtor. I don't know, but it came from this room.
Who is this gentleman?
My name is Russ Preston.
No, this gentleman here.
Jimmy Codell.
Let's go there.
Well, I see why he's talking.
Yeah.
Sure.
What is the library?
You're not a taxpayer,
We beat the.
and no one's asked the opinion of the builder.
Third Tuesday,
I don't know why you're even
each month
talking.
at 10 o'clock.
Third Tuesday.
Third.
Why don't you change it to night so that working people can attend?
It was,
We
our
used to have
meeting
it
has
at
just
5
been
o'clock.
meeting at this the last few months. It was at 5 o'clock.
We
Well,
didn't have
that's even
anybody show
a
up.
time that's not convenient.
It's done in my home.
Well, again, it's a public meeting. If you have an interest, you'll find your way here.
There are other public meetings held in the middle of the day. The water board meets at 10 o'clock in the morning usually.
What day of the,
You can't accommodate everybody, as we already know.
Water board ain't tearing down the church, huh?
It's,
No, but you might go up there and see if they can move that
Sewer line?
Well,
line, and we'll build,
we actually,
we'll renovate the
now we
building.
have talked to the water board, some people that are on it, that could be anywhere down from $200,000 to take the line out for you. If you want to go back and do the original plan, so that you're looking at anywhere 200 or less, to put a bypass around that, so you can build on that original 7,000 square foot building that you wanted, that was single story. I believe, I didn't know you were Mr. Covell. I would have mentioned that, but yeah, maybe you'll remember that one. 7,000 square foot one you came up with.
That was the second option.
Yeah, and it was going to be a single story building. I guess that's what
But the
started the
reason-
problem, maybe.
No. It doesn't meet our requirements by the KDLA.
Okay. But from what I can find out, 200 or less would take care of the sewer problem.
Well, we're not willing to foot that bill, I don't think. I can't speak for the board, but.
Well, I thought maybe you could get a bid, it maybe could be 50,000 to do it, you know.
Yeah.
You could get it stipulated.
But, you know, I think right now, since we seem to be at an impasse, and I don't hear anything as far as whether or not that we have any buyers for the property, and I would move that we go ahead with the authorize our construction manager and the architects to proceed with the process for advertising for bids to remove the structure and also proceed with the foundation, the bids for the foundation work for the new building that we have plans for. I made that motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second the motion.
Motion been made and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor of this motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes with opposition. All right.
I have one other issue. I'd like to just ask a request, if I could get a copy of your bylaws before we leave today or within a day or two.
We have a copy of the bylaw.
Yeah, I think it's 3 days.
All right. You have a request for a copy of the 3 days. Get you one of the bylaws.
Something I was curious about, who is doing the work on it that's already been done there to salvage what woodwork could be?
One of the boys that works for Wes.
It's Will Perkins is his name, and we passed that. You were here at that.
Yeah.
We got
I know
him to
yeah, but I'm
go in
just
here and
curious
take
who's
that
doing
woodwork back.
But it's
But all the
on
work
site.
is intact. I mean, it was
Nothing
just
has
taken
been
down.
taken out of the building.
Still up. All right. Any other new business or old business or whatever? Director's report.
I was just saying we're having a book signing this Friday with Heritage Days. And Vivian Ward from one of our local ones, she'll be here, but we've got 9 authors so far. And Tim's not able to come today.
Anything else going on?
No, this has pretty much consumed my time.
All right.
People wanting interviews and.
Anybody have anything else on the board? Do I hear a motion we adjourn? Motion been made to adjourn. All those in favor of this motion, you may leave. Thank you. Our next meeting will be September the 15th at 10 a.m.